It's time for stock picks. Today we're in the biopharmaceutical sector, the tech sector, and the mining space with Axsome Therapeutics, Taiwan Semiconductor and Gold. Kearabilwe Nonyana from Scope Prime Africa joins us with his analysis of these counters. Kearabilwe, thanks so much for your time this afternoon. Let's start with TSMC, and that's one of the counters that if you believe in the AI story, you are really betting on it. It supplies chips to the likes of NVIDIA. And I was looking at the expectations for its first quarter earnings. That's very positive, with analysts expecting profits to jump over 50%. As we get started, just take us through why you are liking the company.
I think in these difficult times, I think it's the most exciting, because for us who run trading desks, I mean, there's the most activity. And I think with the new tariff wars which have started, which are truly trade wars, what we've seen from Donald Trump is he's excluded semiconductors as well as chips from these tariffs. And it's essentially the need for them in the US economy for things such as microcomputing as well as AI. And for me, TSMC is truly the biggest supplier of chips to the US, and it's in current talks to be in partnerships with Intel, and is investing in capex almost 100 billion into the US economy. And why I think this is a great stock pick is, with the recent move downwards about 20%, it's sitting on a forward PE of about 17.1. And if you had to juxtapose it with a NVIDIA, which is sitting at 40 times earnings at the moment, you literally see the difference in valuation between these two stocks. And for me, TSMC has an internal compounded annual growth rate of 40%, which is unlike any other in the sector.
And are you not perhaps concerned about the tariffs that might come through and hit the chips market, considering that, yes, he's pulled back on, or President Trump has pulled back on tariffs on consumer electronics, but there has been warnings, there has been concerns around him perhaps thinking of hitting that industry in particular?
I think he'd be hitting his own industry if he does that. And I think one thing that Donald Trump's economic advisors are not going to do is cut off the nose to spite the face, because this is really where the engine for the stock market is. And truly speaking, for me, it's not the fact that the stock market is going to lose value. It is the fact that there's going to be less confidence in the economy. And for me, at that point in time, even with the 90-day pause, I do not see risk of there being exports from TSMC to the US in the near future.
All right, let's look at your next pick, which is Axsome Therapeutics. To be honest, I'm not too sure what the company does. So maybe let's start there. What does it do?
Yeah, no, it's in biopharm research, and essentially it has a couple of drugs that really deal with the central nervous system, and if in the medical industry, doctors will tell you dealing with any disease in the central nervous system really becomes very difficult, because they're drug resistant, most of them. So essentially, they currently have 3 drugs on which have been FDA approved. And if people do know how, if the FDA does not like granting approval for central nervous system drugs. So they have 3, Ovaltine, they have Sunosi, and they have Symbrove. And essentially what these 3 drugs deal with, the first one deals with daytime sleepiness, which I never thought was really a problem. But it seems like there is a problem in the use with daytime sleepiness, and it also treats sleep apnea. The one, Ovaltine, deals with major depressive disorders, and Symbrove deals with major migraines that people do have. And currently, with these 3 drugs, we're seeing growth in the major depressive drug of about 124% year on year. And thinking about the fact that we do anticipate that there will be recession, and in times of economic decline, we see depressive states start to actually increase in people. We do anticipate that with that drug alone, this year we will see even better growth. So thinking about that, internally we're forecasting that revenue will hit half a billion for the first time in this year. So we really are thinking that this stock is primed for growth. And when you look at forecasts from 18 of the top analysts in the US currently, they do anticipate that this stock can go up about 95%, even though it's already up above 34% for the year.
The stock seems like a market leader in the industry it operates in. Yeah, just quickly, who are some of its competitors?
I mean, some of its competitors are the
Okay.
big farmers. So they are operating in a very niche space. I mean, right now in the pipeline, they have an Alzheimer's drug, a drug which is in stage 3, which was we're in stage 3 of approval, which was announced on about the 3rd of March. So at the moment, there's a pipeline of drugs within the space that I think are going to be game changers going forward. So with this stock, I really do believe it's quite a small company, about a 4.6 billion market cap in terms of dollars. I mean, in South African terms, it's a big company, but in the US, it's quite a tiny company. But because of its niche and way it operates, we do anticipate that there will be growth. And truly speaking, pharmaceuticals in times of stock market decline are defensive in nature.
All right, and lastly, your last pick is not a stock. It's basically all that glitters is gold, a safe haven where we've seen really running on the back of market volatility. Kia, does it have more room to run?
I think it does, and currently speaking, we really have quite a big gold book at the moment. And to be perfectly honest, it speaks to the fact that the only way to deal with systemic risk in any portfolio is to be exposed to gold, whether by the miners, which essentially have high operating leverage when gold prices are this high. I mean, gold miners are printing money right now. But why I'm directly going for the metal itself is that because of the fact that we're seeing a global move of global economic, but a global economic influence moving to the Orient in China. China has been building up their reserves of gold more than have they been building up US dollars, because they stopped buying US dollars last week. And when you're looking at the front end contracts on the gold futures versus spot contracts, that contango has been closing down, which speaks to the fact that supply side constraints might come into the fact and might still buoy the price of gold. So right now, I'm taking it because of, first of all, geopolitical risk.
Yeah.
China is buying it at record levels at the moment. India is pulling back, but China is still being the biggest driver of the gold price at the moment. And as well, what I also think is that you just need it in your portfolio to deal with systemic risk at the moment.
It's really interesting to see the central banks just picking up gold on a regular basis now. Kia, thanks so much for your time and sharing your insights. That was Kearabilwe Nonyana from Scope Prime Africa.